What are the solutions to the equations? To the following equation. Now we have an equation, but we have denominators as part of the equation. So whenever you have a denominator, the best thing to do is to try to cancel that denominator by multiplying by the lowest common denominator. So if I multiply each of the fractions by the lowest common denominator, then the denominators will be gone, and it will be easier to be able to solve the equation. First, factor your denominators. I notice that x is by itself, so I don't need to factor this out. But I do notice that I have an x squared, so I'm going to rewrite it as x multiplied by x. Let's see. I want to cancel this x, so I need to multiply everything by x. But I want to not just cancel one x, I need to cancel two of them on this case, so I'm going to multiply it by xx. So x times x, x times x, x times x. Let's see, on the first one there's no denominator, so nothing cancels, so that will give me a x, and 1 gives me an x squared. On the second one of the x's cancel, so I just end up with a negative 4x. And on the last one, both, this is no longer here, both x's cancel, so I just end up with a negative 6. Now, ideally, you should move your negative 6 to the left and try to factor, but if you look at your answers, we know that this cannot be factored. Otherwise, your answers will be just like a 2 and a 3 or fractions, but not square roots. So you have two choices. You can use the quadratic formula, or you can complete the square. Completing the square is much easier. You can only complete the square if there is no leading coefficient, and if this is even, which this is the case. So I'm going to complete the square. I'm going to rewrite it, but I'm going to leave some space to complete the square. Equal to negative 6, and what I do on one side, I need to do to the other side. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. Squared gives me a positive 4. Remember, you just take half and then square it. And what I do on one side, I need to do to the other side. I'm going to rewrite it. Or factor this out gives me x and x. Factors of 4 gives me 2 and 2, and they both should be, I need negative 4, so they both should be negative. I'm going to rewrite it as 1, so x minus 2 squared. On the right hand side, this will give me a negative 2. Now to get rid of the square, I'm going to take the square root on the left and on the right. The square root and square cancel, so now I have x minus 2 is equal to the square root of 2. Square root of 2, I can't take the square root of 2, but I notice that there's a minus inside, so I know I'm going to have to have a I, that 2 stays inside. And every time you take the square root, what did I forget? Plus or minus. And the last step is to move my 2 to the right, becomes a positive, so x is equal to 2 plus or minus I square root of 2. So let's see, first one should be positive, not negative. And should have been nice, so you answer letter A. Now notice that they separate, because of the plus or minus, they separate one with the positive and one with the negative. Either one will be fine, whichever you leave it. You just have to recognize that it's basically the same.